So, so we have been talking about the nature of phenomena, the emptiness nature, which is, not refuting of grasping things as being existent, refutation of grasping things as being non-existence, and it's not good or not right to hold things as existing on its own, but also not right or not correct to grasp as non-existing, and things like that a little bit. Actually, the whole book is here. This is the book by the main authority of this philosophy called Nagarjuna. And Nagarjuna's kind of root text of this view is Madhyamika Karika. This Umatsawa Shirap. And this is the translation of that text in the language of Slovenia. What is called the language of Slovenia? Slovenia, the same as Slovenian. Yes. That's the music. Very good. In the language of Slovenian, the whole the Madhyamika Sawashirap is translated with commentary. Commentary by you? Can you say your name? Yeah, so you have it in Sloveniana now. Very, very good. So, I don't know. It's not, so I think what I said in the morning, in a nutshell, is enough, because if we go into details, it might not make it more clear, but more confusing. Sometimes it becomes like that also. And In the Heart Sutra, Buddha says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. So in these four kind of statements, the understanding of the nature of phenomena or understanding of the emptiness is explained. And when you say in the Heart Sutra, no eye, no ear, no nose, it's not saying that there is no nose. You don't cut off your nose or no ear or no eye. All of them, is you have to add these four things. Whether is the object of our experiences, usually our object of experience is five senses, five senses, five objects, or six senses, six objects, or sometimes from Buddhist point of view, we talk about five aggregates. So whatever, even like Four Noble Truths and all everything, Buddhahood and everything, whatever Dharma, we already explained Dharma. Whatever Dharma, it's like that. You can. Sometimes we try to understand it in this what we call as two truths: relative truth and absolute truth. Absolute truth is that if you really look deeply into the nature of things, they are like what we have tried to explain this morning, or we try to investigate, that finally you can't find anything existing existing on its own or existing independently. But that doesn't mean that everything disappears or everything is non-existent. Everything exists, everything is there. Like, as we kind of explained, like a dream, like a magic, like an illusion, like a miracle, and that is what we call as the relative truth. Relatively, everything is there. Everything works. Everything. There are beings. Beings have sufferings. We accumulate karma, bad karma. Then we have suffering. Good karma, we have less suffering. And we could also free ourselves from karma. We become enlightened. All these things happens. But if you look deeply, all these things also happen a little bit like a magic or miracle. So when you deeply understand this nature, then and these two are not two things. These two are like actually one thing, because everything is happening, and if you look deeply, this happening is like a dream. So it's not two things, it's the same thing. And while we are dreaming, while there's an illusion also, there's nothing really happening in a way, you know. So therefore sometimes we call, you know, there is a word which is sometimes a little bit difficult to grasp. No birth, no cessation, you know. Unborn nature, we call it sometimes. Unborn nature means like everything is, you know, even while we experience things and we go through that experience, actually in a way nothing is happening. Nothing is there substantially, you know. Sometimes this is a little bit difficult to imagine, but sometimes we can actually see it. I always said this few times, maybe here also, that, you know, we talk about mirage. Mirage, in all our Buddhist texts, there is always, you know, the whole the Dhamma and everything is like a mirage. I heard this word countless times, but I never saw mirage, you know, and I always wondered, what is mirage like? And some years before, quite a few years before, when I was traveling in Spain by car, and I saw mirage, and I was shocked because I was traveling in a kind of a road where there was no what you call it, no carpeting, no pavement. You know, when it's paved, then it's shining, you know, a little bit. It was not like that. It was a kind of a dirt road. But even when it was dirt road, when there was no shining, I could see it was water. There's water everywhere. And that didn't shock me, because I knew it was something like that. You could see water. Even there is no water, but because there is heat, therefore you see water. That didn't. But what shocked me was there was a car going in front of me, and I could see the reflection of that car on that water. That shocked me, because, you know, how can there be a reflection of the car where there is water, that I know there is no water, and that I see as water. You know, I could see kind of a watery thing. That's, you know, that's my eyes kind of, you know, getting a little bit whatever. But how can I see the reflection in that of the actual car? That was a little bit shocking to me. But it's there, it's like that. And, you know, so now the question is, you know, that mirage that was there, I saw, with even the, you know, reflection. Where does it, how does it, you know, what can you say? When did it start to happen, you know, or when it finished? You know? where did it come from, or where did it go? I can't, there is nothing like that, because even when I was seeing, it was not there, no? It is just a illusion, or it's just a display of interdependent something, and there is not really, there is nothing there. There's never been anything. It's just something that is... so this is the understanding, I think, of when you say unborn nature. Everything that we actually experience is like that. It's unborn, because it's never really, even when you experience it, it has never really been there. There was nothing really there. That's the idea. So when this kind of understanding becomes very clear, very clear, then all this, like this is, I am, I exist on my own, everything exists there, there's other things, this is me, therefore, I need to have that, I don't need, should not have that, all this kind of way of reacting can become a little less, I think. So that's why, this understanding and experience, more than understanding, experience becomes very important, because unless we can have some kind of confidence in, understanding what I really am, the nature of myself, that's what we call the selflessness, then I always react with this, duality, experience of duality. And when I experience the feeling of duality, then there is always this samsaric state of mind, where aversion, attachment becomes the prominent thing, and then all other negative emotions happen, and then all kind of actions of these negative emotions, which creates all kind of sufferings and pain, and conflicts and all kind of things that the samsaric state of being happens, and that creates the ocean of suffering. But this is again, this understanding is not just a kind of, it should not be only an intellectual understanding, because just an intellectual understanding sometimes helps a little bit, but it wouldn't really totally transform ourselves and become free from fear. If you really become fully understand and experience, then it frees us from all kind of fear, because I understand that what I am, what I call I am, is not something that can be totally destroyed, because it doesn't really exist. When something doesn't really exist, nothing can destroy it. No? So when nothing can destroy it, there's nothing to be afraid of. And there's nothing to be afraid of disappearing. There's nothing to be afraid of neglecting. There's nothing afraid of not getting something, or there's nothing afraid of getting something, because there's nothing existing totally in the true way. So when that experience comes, then that is what we call liberated. Sometimes they say that even 100 murderers kind of encircle you with their most kind of strongest weapons. There's not even one of your hair in your body is moving. Means like you're not afraid at all. That kind of experience happens when you really understand deeply how the things are. I told you, I think once, that there was a Lama in Tibet, and everybody said, his teacher said, and everybody said he's a great, highly realized person. But he said, no, I'm not realized. I have nothing. I'm totally ordinary. And he actually believed that he was completely ordinary and there was nothing special, realization. And then one time there was this attack of a Chinese Muslim group to Kham area. And lots of lamas were beheaded at that time. Lots of people were killed. And he was caught by this. And he was to be beheaded. And they all, put all the instruments of his beheading, all the swords and whatever, and the block and everything. And then the king of Derge sent a kind of ransom to him, so that he would be saved. So one of his students was a very good Kempo, living in that with the king of. So he came and he kind of arranged, and so he was saved. So he could save him, he could brought him out, and then the Kempo was very emotional. Because he was nearly killed. So he was crying, and he was kind of very. And then the Lama was saying, "Don't cry, don't cry. What is there to cry? Actually, I'm very happy," he said. "What happened?" "Well, everybody said usually that I have some kind of a little realization. I never believed that I had any realization. But maybe I have a little bit of realization after all," he said. "What is that?" I said that when they were, making all the arrangements that I would be killed, I didn't have any fear. Only thing that I was thinking is, who would take care of my dog? So I was a little bit worried about my dog. Other than that, I had no fear at all. Maybe I have a little bit of, realization, he was saying. I think it becomes something like that, So this kind of, thing. If one thinks that I have really great realization, then maybe it's not very great realization, because then you say, I have realization, So then, the moment you say, I have realization, that means there is I, too much of I, who realizes it, then that realization makes maybe not so great, So those kind of things. So therefore, these are, not always easy to explain. So what is to be practiced? It says, concerning the mind or wisdom awareness, this is the 6th point. If all phenomena are emptiness, you might ask if it is necessary to practice that which you have understood. For example, even if silver ore is in the nature of silver, until the ore is smelted, the silver does not appear. If one desires molten silver, one must smelt the ore. Likewise, all phenomena are from the very beginning of the nature of emptiness, free from all elaboration. But since there is the appearance of various things to sentient beings and the experience of various sufferings, this wisdom must be understood and practiced. Therefore, one should understand, as was explained before, and to practice, there are 4 stages. The 4 stages of practice. The preliminaries, equipoise, post-meditative stage, and the science of practice. The preliminary step is to settle the mind into its natural state. How it is established. The 700 stanza Perfection of Wisdom says, a son or daughter of noble family should maintain a seat in solitude, should delight in a place free from disturbances, and sit in the full lotus position without letting the mind to be concerned with all this signs and so forth. One should proceed according to the preliminaries of the Mahamudra. Then for all the methods of equipoise, one should also train according to the instructions of the Mahamudra. One should set the mind free from effort, without any conceptualizing whatsoever of existence, non-existence, acceptance or rejection. Leave the mind free from exertion, like the Tilopa says, do not ponder, think or cognize, do not meditate or examine, leave the mind to itself. We talked about, the preliminaries this morning. We also talk about, all the other 5 paramitas. So all these are, in a way, kind of trainings to get this experience. And especially meditation, making your mind a little bit more calm, more stable, more pliable, like the mind does what you want. All the shamatha meditations, very important for this, and then allowing your mind to be totally in its natural state. That's very difficult sometimes for us, because we always have this kind of we don't know how to relax properly. We don't know how to let things be. We are so used to kind of make efforts, we are always trying to get something or get somewhere, or trying to get rid of something all the time. That's our habit. So therefore, it's very difficult not to do that. So that's why we need to really learn that and practice that. And once we can do that, then that's why there's what we call the tilupas, instructions. Do not ponder, do not think or cognize. Do not meditate. Sometimes they also ask, do not meditate, or no meditation. No meditation is the meditation technique, because sometimes, I'm meditating, then it becomes less meditation, because we are trying to do something. We are making an effort. There's a kind of meditation is being totally natural. So when you say meditate, it automatically makes us kind of do something. I'm meditating. Kind of, and therefore that the concept of meditation sometimes spoils the meditation. So therefore, sometimes the instruction is no meditation, no distraction, and no, what do you say? Magam. Yeah. How do you call it?
Don't do anything.
There's a word. There's a good word that Siddha Rinpoche uses. No? Huh? Fabricate. Yeah, something like that. Not. Don't fabricate or don't. Huh?
It's more like not alternate.
Alternate.
Yes.
Alternate. I think fabricate is better. Or
Before you told me different. Before you told me so, it's such a force that it should not be fabricated. It should be alternate.
But what does alternate mean?
It's just leave it as it is without trying to shift it in any way.
Don't change it.
Alternate. Don't alter it. Alterate. Alterate? No, that's good. But I forgot the word alterate, I think. I had a joke this yesterday evening. Two old men had lots of drink together, and then they were coming home. And then the one old man invited his friend to his home, and they knocked the door. And then he said, "Hello, dear, we are at home. What is it, dear? Honey, I'm home," like that. And the other old man said, "Oh, you still call her honey, because he was already old and she was older." He said, "I don't remember her name." So I don't remember the words. Anyway, so anyway, those kind of, all these methods and meditations and things like that are in preparation, but mainly, when you really allow your mind to be in the natural state, then, it doesn't, then, of course, it's not that you have no thoughts coming, or you don't have any, you can't see anything, or you can't hear anything, or you don't have any emotions, or you don't, everything is there as usual. But when your mind becomes very, very naturally state, then even all those thoughts and emotions and perceptions and sensations and things like that, they kind of a little bit flow, they come and flow, and you don't have to get engaged in that. So it's very clear, all these experiences, but you don't have to, like usually we always react. Some things you see, I see it, and then well, how is it? Is nice or not nice? Nice, then I like it. Not nice, like this. Yeah, here is some nice, and not nice. Yeah, but if I don't have to do that, it flows. And when that kind of understanding or experience happens, then your mind becomes totally free of altercation, fabrication, whatever you call it, even meditation. So therefore, a really deep sense of joy, peace, naturally arises without kind of having to cultivate, and that then whatever is happening around doesn't matter too much. Good things happening also, okay. Not so good things happening also, okay. And when that understanding or experience happens, then, irrespective of whatever, happens in your life, you have complete peace of mind. And so therefore, this is one way of, and those kind of, that type of experience comes then from the Buddhist point of view. Each of these different experiences has a name, like this kind of meditation, that kind of meditation, like, Vajra-like meditation, this like meditation, that like meditation. It called many different calls, but it's all kind of same thing. And then that becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. Then your mind becomes more and more enlightened, and less affected by the things that's happening around. So therefore, when you really realize that, then your samsaric state of mind is transformed. No, there's no nothing can disturb your mind, and that means your samsaric state of mind is transformed. But this needs practice. But practice is not like, again, with too much kind of, what can you say? Not like pushing kind of practice, but relaxing kind of practice. Learning how to be in a most joyful and natural state, rather than running kind of, or too much pushing. Therefore, those realizations and then are described in the sutras and tantras, in many different. It's the same thing, but said in different ways. So there are lots of quotations here. But whatever there is, one needs to practice. Without practice, these things doesn't happen. But the practice is also, most of them, relaxing and learning how to be natural. But also practicing. That's why Milarepa was giving his last teaching to Gambapa. You know that? Some of you know that? No? The Gambapa, is although he was not very long time with Milarepa, but he was with him, and then Milarepa immediately knew that he was his best student. So he made him go through all kind of practices in a very short way. And then he also went through all these experiences and things like that, and then just in very short time, not very many years, he told him that now you have, I've given you everything that I know. And there's no need for you to be with me anymore. You can go. You go back from where you came from, the central Tibet. Because Milarepa was mostly in kind of areas, more kind of close to Nepal border, and also, kind of Mount Kailash area. He said, you go back to central Tibet and then practice there. And there will be, you have lots of devotion to me now. You almost see me as a Buddha. Yes, you have lots of devotion to me now. But after you really practice a long time, then you will see me actually nothing less than Buddha. And that time, then it's time for you to teach. You don't need to teach before that. You teach then. So you can go home. So he was going home, he prepared to go. And then one day he was leaving, and then Milarepa was seeing him off. So they kind of walked together, little distance, and then he said goodbye, and then there was a small river, so he was crossing that river and then going home, but he was going, sometimes turning back and making prostrations and then going. And then after a little bit while, when he went little far, he called him. Actually, I haven't given you the most important secret instruction. I have not given you the most secret instruction. And then he was very sad, He said earlier that he has given all the instructions, and now he's saying that the most secret instruction he has not given him. So he came back. He came back and made prostrations and mandala offering and said, please give me the most sacred instruction. He said, no, I can't give you that instruction. You go away. So he was quite sad because, so he was going, and then after some time he said, okay, come back. So he came back. He said that you are my most important student. So if I don't give you, who should I give that most secret instruction? So come back. So he was very happy here, and then he made prostrations and some mandala offering, and then sitting like this, waiting for the most illuminating and most secret instruction. But he was not saying anything. He just turned back, turned the other side, showed his back, and then he took off his, he had one shawl, he was wearing this cotton shawl. He took off the cotton shawl and shows his bottom. And this is it. And he looked, and he got it. What was there? Nothing than usual. Nothing than usual, but his bottom had become tough, rough, what do you call it? Callous, it's like under the feet when, you walk a lot, it become hard. Because he had sat on the rocks for so long that it had become, hard. And that was the secret, the most secret instruction, that you have to practice. You have to. So, that's the most secret instruction. So that's how it is. Because, everything is, of course, understanding is necessary. If you don't have the understanding, then we don't know how to practice. But once we have the understanding, it's just about, doing it again and again and again. Practicing is about training. Training means doing it again and again and again. Then I think this is the last one, that is result. One should understand the results of wisdom awareness in the ultimate and conventional states. The ultimate result is the attainment of the unsurpassable enlightenment. So, the complete enlightenment. There is a quotation, Manjushri, if one practices the perfection of wisdom awareness, that great bodhisattva will quickly, completely, and perfectly awaken in the unsurpassable, fully perfected enlightenment. Sometimes this is also called, when your wisdom and compassion, is increased to the utmost level. That's what's sometimes called enlightenment also. The conventional result, this is the ultimate result, and the conventional result is that all the happiness and fortune will arise. The more you have a little bit of, the more wisdom you have, the more happy you become, the more, your mind becomes free, happier, fearless, that nothing can shake you, and things like that. However much there is of the phenomenal happiness and comfort of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, hearers, solitary realizers, all the gods and all the migrators, it is all risen from the supreme perfection of wisdom awareness. So this is, this is the 17th chapter, dealing with the perfection of wisdom awareness from the jewel ornament of liberation, the wish-filling gem of all of the noble teachings. So, of course, this chapter is actually very important, but I have a feeling that however much I talk, it would become less and less clear. So therefore, I think that's enough. And anyway, this is the right time for a short break, I think. So, any questions? Yes?
How would you describe, except of course with practice, what is the difference in your words between wisdom and intellectual understanding?
Between?
Wisdom and intellectual understanding.
I think it is like this, intellectual understanding is also wisdom, if it is a good understanding. But there is usually, it's said like this. The three methods, three ways of wisdom. Listening, reflection, meditation. Yeah. Now, wisdom is, as it is described here, to really see or understand or experience how things really exist. That's the wisdom. Yeah? So the hearing or the study is the first method we have. Now this study is intellectual. Hearing is a way to study, like when we try to study, like say Nagarjuna. So we try to read, we try to listen carefully what Nagarjuna says and try to understand what he exactly is saying, through the teachers or whatever, through the commentaries and things like that. And then we have some kind of understanding of what Nagarjuna is saying, or what he means. And through his explanations, what Buddha is saying. So we have, understanding. That is also wisdom, because that's understanding on how the things truly exist. Yeah. But that could be intellectual. That is intellectual also. But that is also not my. It is not coming from my own search. It's coming from somebody is saying. So you are understanding, but you are understanding with the understanding of somebody else's. After that, and usually what we say is that kind of listening, we should not too quickly, what can you say, or analyze or judgment. We usually have a tendency to criticize before we understand, or to reply before we have heard, And this is a general human kind of a problem, that we listen less and we talk more. Yeah. So we need to learn to first listen, that what exactly Nagarjuna is saying, or your teacher is saying, or anybody is saying, to listen carefully and to really understand what they say. That's the first step. After that, then you reflect. And that means then you kind of examine everything that Nagarjuna said, or Buddha said, or whoever, with your own analytical mind, with your own reasoning, with your own, all different, from the different viewpoints, and ask any questions. That's the second, what we call the reflection or investigation. And through investigation, we get some kind of a clarity, because we find that this cannot be correct, this cannot be correct, this cannot be correct. So it could be something like this kind of, we can get maybe clearer understanding. So that also is intellectual, yeah. But it is wisdom, or it is going towards wisdom. Then now we have come to some kind of a little bit of understanding that it can't be like this, it can't be like this, it should be something like this. We have an intellectual understanding, yeah. Then now that intellectual understanding alone, even if it is wisdom in a way, but it's not wisdom that could completely transform me, because that's not my experience. Then we need to meditate. Now that meditation, then sometimes we can do analytical meditation, that is going through these reflections and investigation, and then when we don't find anything more than that, we allow our mind to relax in that, or we remind about this thing again and again. But then another way of meditation is, like we discussed here, we allow our mind to relax in our natural state and totally be, in the present moment, not analyzing or not making judgments or not, but just totally, remaining in the experience of just being. Sometimes this could be totally different from the way of analyzing and intellectual, because from the intellectual point you find something, but this is, however good you find, it's like a map. When you look at a map of a place like, Slovenia or Ljubljana. Say you say, this is Ljubljana. Oh yes, I see Ljubljana. There is this, there is this, there is the river, there is a house, there is the city center, there is the... But you haven't been to Ljubljana. So when you actually go to Ljubljana, then it's very different from the map. So however good your intellectual understanding is, it's not really the thing. So it's just a map. So therefore, that wisdom is not complete wisdom, not true wisdom, or not complete wisdom, maybe I can say, because it doesn't give the actual experience. So then, through meditation, you get a little bit of experience of it. What do you mean by like not grasping? What do you mean by, by kind of selflessness? It's not selflessness, it's not like, it should not be like this, should not be like this, should not like that, but really feeling kind of totally peaceful and not making any kind of distinctions in your... so those instructions, or those meditational instructions, you get from somebody who has some experience of it. And then when you do that meditation and then that intellectual understanding you got has to fit together. And when that happens, then the meditation becomes stronger, because you know where you are and what you are doing. And then more and more that becomes stronger and clearer. Then the wisdom becomes true, Then it becomes not just an intellectual understanding, but more an experience understanding. And of course, there could be many different stages of development, but then, meditation becomes clearer and clearer and deeper and, stronger and stronger, and, then sometimes it is said that it's like looking at the moon, It could be a dark night with lots of, clouds, and then you have a kind of, there's a moon, and then you see some little kind of a part of a cloud where it's a little bit kind of a light there. And there's, oh yes, there's moon. But then there's another time that, the sky is clear, but the moon, it's a new moon, or after 2-3 days, so a little bit something. Then also you say you have seen the moon. Then you are on a kind of a plain or on a beach, and the sky is completely blue, or no cloud, and the moon is full moon, and you see the moon. Yeah, you see the moon, but you see moon different ways. So how clear you see the moon, how much you see the moon, there it can have different levels. So therefore, the way you experience wisdom can also, become clearer and deeper, and so that's what we call different levels. Like 10 bhumis, 5 paths, and things like that, all based on this kind of thing. Yes?
How come that appearances appear at all? How come that appearances, phenomena,
Yeah.
appear? Why? I mean, is there something making them?
This is also something to do with the nature of mind. Yeah. The nature of mind has again, this is maybe intellectual again, but if you look at our mind, what is the mind? It's that knowing quality. Yeah? There is a knowing quality, and other than that, you can't find anything. Yeah? And that knowing quality that you aware, conscious, that is the quality of the mind. And then you look where that knowing quality is, and what is there, that knowing quality, what is, does it have any location? Does it have any, substance? Does it have any, kind of shape or color, or, any kind of substance? You can't find, yeah? But there is a knowing thing. This is sometimes described as clarity and emptiness. The mind has this clarity aspect, but that clarity aspect, you can't find anything there. So that's why emptiness. And these two are not different. That's the state of mind. Now, because there is clarity, there is also another aspect, that different things, it's unceasing. There's nothing stopping. Lots of things can come up. Thoughts can come up, emotions come up, seeing, hearing, sensations, perceptions, all different kind of things arise in that clarity. So this is the quality of the mind, or the nature of the mind, three: clarity, emptiness, unceasing. Yeah? And these are not three different things. And because of that, it's always appearing. Always appearing. And but sometimes appearing like pure, like Buddha's experience. Sometimes appearing as impure, like samsaric appearance. But it never ceases, because that's its nature. So, in one way, if you want, you can say that your consciousness itself is creating. Or another way, you can say that that's the nature of the consciousness or mind, that things keep on appearing. Whatever you want to say. Yes?
I have a question regarding bodhisattvas.
Okay.
Because I understand in samsara, in fact, there is infinity. So somebody who is suffering in samsara, the bodhisattva are helping them. But as there is no total solution in samsara to the problem of sentient beings. So the only solution that bodhisattvas are giving to sentient beings which are in samsara are helping them to transcend their reality of samsara to come in the reality of pure lens. Because as I understand, bodhisattvas in fact are living the reality of pure lens. There is something wonderful, there are no problems. And from their reality can help to the samsaric reality which in samsaric reality lives usual sentient beings. Is this so?
Make it very clear, little clear. Come little closer. Yes.
So I'm thinking that the way to enlightenment
Yeah.
is that the beings who became bodhisattvas, in fact, they are feeling better and better and better. They are coming closer and closer to pure lens. And in pure lens, as I understand, everything is wonderful, no problems. And from this reality, they can really help to us beings who are in samsara, and we are experiencing this reality. But in this reality, we can do whatever we want, and there is no total solution. There is no final solution. Always we solve one problem, and then we become another problem. So we can expect the help from the beings, from bodhisattvas, from pure lens, which can help us in such a way that we transcend this reality, samsaric reality, to come to the pure lens. Is this so?
I understood your question. I understood your question. That doesn't mean that I have answer. But I think it's like this, in one way, this the reality of samsara that we are here, and then the reality of bodhisattvas or enlightened beings, the pure land. Sometimes we it is described in a way like, we go to that Pure Land, somewhere up in the sky. But in reality, maybe it's not really somewhere there, you know. It's about changing our perspective, you know. If a samsaric being, I am in this samsaric being now, and we have this perspective, this experience, and then that's what we call I am in the samsaric. Yeah. Now, if you are a bodhisattva, great bodhisattva, you might be still here with me, but you might have the different perspective of being in like more or less Pure Land, because you don't see, you don't experience the samsaric experience that I experience. So therefore, we could be together, but you can have Pure Land experience and I can have samsaric experience. Yeah? Now, bodhisattvas helping people can be of many different levels. Yeah? Sometimes you are actually a great bodhisattva, who has the Pure Land experience, but for my benefit, you appear in front of me like you are now, wearing this Northern Line 1952 Classic Express. And so that I can see you as one of me, one of us. Yeah? And then you can help me a little bit, sometimes maybe a little bit to deal with my problems, you become my friend and say, okay, if I'm very sad, you come and, oh, don't be so sad, it's not so bad, like that. Or sometimes, you give me little advice and say, okay, if you do a little bit like this, it will be better. Maybe I'm not completely easy to go out of the samsara, but you can help me a little bit in the samsara, little bit guide, little bit. Do a little bit meditation, it's better, like this. And then I start to meditate a little bit, and okay, I have a little bit, okay, but not very much, like I complain to you and say, okay, but you can do a little more. So, you can help me a little bit in this way. Even in the samsara, you cannot completely turn my view and become the whole kind of enlightened experience, but you can help me, and thereby then slowly maybe I can become a little bit better and little bit better, and then instead of in the hell realm, I'm in the human realm. Then instead of human realm, maybe I am a little bit better, even better, or in a better human realm, and or more kind of positive. Then slowly, but all the time you were in that experience, yeah. But you were helping me, but you were not helping me alone. If you are a very good, great university, you could appear with your Northern Line Classic Express, and at the same time, to another person, you can appear with another thing, in a kind of a red cloth, or another the yellow cloth, or another place, maybe like what His Holiness Dalai Lama wants in the beautiful girl. Or maybe ugly one. Or macho man. Whatever, according to whatever is needed. Yeah? So I think that's how it is happening. Yeah? And then you can also appear maybe as a bird, or as a fish, or as a, all kind of things, whatever different kind of people needs, and that's how it is said. Yeah? He's always happy. Yeah?
We all have Buddha nature, so essentially we are all good. So how come it's mostly said that doing bad or not doing anything is much easier than doing good? Is this our projection? Is this our nature? Or
it's our habit. When you say that we have Buddha nature, I think what it's saying is that we, the way we are, in the true nature way, the way we are, and the way the Buddha is, there's nothing different. We have this mind or consciousness, same way as Buddha with 3 kayas. Yeah, our consciousness is emptiness, clarity, and unceasing as Buddhas are. We can, what can you say? We have, if we could understand, if we could see, if we could recognize our true nature, we could experience the full, wisdom and react with compassion and non-duality at any time. And we would not, we are not, we have all these same qualities that the Buddha has within us. But that doesn't mean that we are as good as the Buddha. We don't have, we have lots of delusion, misunderstanding, and we have lots of ego. Even the baby born today has all those. So it's not that when we are born as a baby, we are perfect and then slowly we become unperfect. It's not like from the day we are born or we are in our mother's womb, we are same samsaric being. So therefore, life after life after life after life, we are in that samsaric state. So we react with aversion, attachment, ignorance and things. So we react with, with ego, with pride, with jealousy, with anger, with all the things that, So therefore, that become our habitual tendency, and that become our, what can you say, our most strongest habit. So, even very small, we tend to react with that way. Yeah. So we are like that. But it is possible for us to change. It is possible for us to become more compassionate. It is possible for us to become more wise. And it is possible for us to totally transform ourselves. Yeah? That's why we say we have Buddha nature. It's like, you look at this olive oil. olive fruit. You know, when you have the olive fruit, it's very nice to eat, no? But you can't see oil. There is no oil. Yeah? But there is oil there, essence. It has oil nature. So if you squeeze it, then oil comes. So that's why we say, you know, oil, the olive has oil in it. Its nature is oil. But when you pluck the oil, olive, it is not oil. Yeah, it is a fruit. It doesn't taste like oil. It tastes like a little bit sour kind of fruit. Yeah. But if you take another thing, like I don't know what, something else, like a piece of rock or something like that, then or a piece of charcoal, however much you squeeze, you can't have oil coming out of it because there is nothing in there. So that's why we say we have Buddha nature. It's not that we have experience of Buddha nature at this moment. We can have little bit. We can have little bit of wisdom and little bit of compassion even now, but not completely. Yeah? That's I think the idea. Yes?
A volte nella pratica siamo presi da mille dubbi, pigrizia, le cose della vita. E abbiamo parlava di motivazione e aspirazione. E a volte sembra che questa in qualche modo non venga nutrita come una pianta che si rimpicciolisce. C'è un consiglio che lui può darci, anche se per ognuno di noi sarebbe diverso, immagino, però per trovare modo di nutrire, tenere sana la motivazione, l'aspirazione per la pratica, perché troviamo sempre tanti motivi per non praticarlo. È vero? She's saying that in daily life we have so many. We are engaging in so many things, many distractions, we have many obstacles, and you told about motivation and motivazione and aspiration for the practice. So she's asking if you have some practical advice, because this aspiration and motivation is like a plant, but this plant going on is like a plant that is not nurtured, and it became dry and dry and dry. So an advice for nurturing this plant of motivation and aspiration in the practice, if you can say something about it. Because we have so many good reasons for not practicing at all. We lost the
Actually, we have no good reason not to practice. Because I think it's like this, you know, what we want is that we want to be free from suffering and pain and difficulties, yeah? All. And so we have to find out what are the things that is creating this problem and suffering and pain in ourselves and everybody else, you know. So, you know, if that is the case, you know, if you don't want suffering, if you don't want problem, you don't want pain, then we should do something that would bring us less pain, less problem, less difficulties for ourselves and also to others. No? And that is practice. That is practice, because if we try to look, what is it that is creating problem for myself? Yeah? So, what is creating problem? This is something we have to think, you know. So actions, if we fight with each other, that's creating problem, no? If we make wars and conflicts and fighting with each other, that's creating problem. If we, rob each other or steal from each other, or that's creating problem. If we make atrocities on each other, that's creating problem. Yeah. If we try to, bring other people down, if we say bad things to each other, if we do bad things to each other, if we think bad things to each other, that's creating problem. No? So we try to do that less. We do less harm to each other, the better it is for myself and for everybody else. So that's what we try to do. That's the practice of Dhamma. We try to do less harmful to myself, less harmful to others, and that is the first thing. Then, if we do a little bit less harmful, then we try to do a little good thing, something that would help each other, that some little nice or kind or helpful to each other. That will become better. We try to do that. Yeah? And if we try to do that, that will solve lots of problems. Yeah? And then, main problem is our own emotions. Our own emotions and our own reactions. So, we try to a little bit calm our mind and control and work on our emotions. Change our mind or our state of mind, calm our mind. Then, that is practice of Dhamma. Try to generate a little bit more compassion, kindness, less of anger, less of, greed, less of, too much kind of desire and too much jealousy and too much, all negative. So if we do these three things, we are practicing Dhamma. Yeah? And that's good for me and that's good for others. The more problem outside, the more we do that, it will be the only way to... of course, we cannot change everything. We cannot change everything, but if we can a little bit bring more peace to our mind, that will at least help myself to be a little bit peaceful. So, we need to meditate. Yeah? And the more there is problem and difficulties around, the more we should be bringing our own peace of mind. No? That we need to, because, that's necessary. So, actually, if you think properly, the more there is problem, the more it should make us practice Dhamma more. Isn't it? It should not make us less need for Dhamma. Yeah? Actually, all the reasons why we should not practice Dhamma are wrong or unsubstantiated reasons. Yeah? Yes?
I was wondering, you were talking about the interdependence and emptiness, and I understand that it's in samsara, within samsara, it's karma, that's the glue that binds the phenomena together, so that we get a carriage, or a tree, or the person that's me. And I'm wondering, beyond samsara, is it compassion that glues the components together to get a Buddha body, Dharmakaya, Sambhavakaya?
You could probably say that, but the thing is like this, I think it's not really what can you say? I don't think you can say that there are two different things, when you talk about the samsara and enlightened state of mind, there's two state of mind, it's not two things, yeah? When we are in the samsaric state of mind, means when we have lots of, like ego, dualistic view, and then we have all this aversion, attachment, and all the negative emotions, that's the samsaric state of mind, yeah? So when we are in that view, in that perspective, in that state of mind, then, there's lots of pain, there's lots of problems, there's lots of difficulties because of our own experience, how we experience, yeah? But when we understand this same samsaric situation, not something different, this same body, this same samsara, this same, situation, the whole same thing, same thing that we see, same thing, this wall, same thing, this place, same thing, these people. Then I understand the way they are in a more deeper way. Then I have a slightly different way of looking at things. I have a different way of looking at myself. I have a different way of reacting to things, So therefore, I am reacting not with aversion, attachment, and but more with understanding, more with compassion, and then that means I am not as much negative as before, and therefore I can be more kind and compassionate and understanding, and therefore I don't feel too much of this, anger and hatred and things like that, but I feel more loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom. So therefore my perspective has changed. Yeah, nothing has changed in a way, but everything is changed because my own perspective has changed. Yeah, it's not a different place, it's not a different body, it's not a different world, but it's a different perspective. I think you can say, and in a way everything changes in a way, but in a way nothing changes. Understand? Yes.
I seem to be stuck in a jealous God state.
What?
In a state of mind of a jealous God.
Josh?
I seem to be stuck in that state of mind.
Okay.
I'm always making strategies and fighting for something better than this. And when I can never rest. When somebody tries to approach me right here and right now, I interpret that as an invasion of my territory. Is there any antidote for this?
Why should you, is anybody approaching you, why should you take it so badly?
But that's how it is.
You know, I think it is everybody tries to make things better. Yeah, there is nobody who doesn't want to make things better. But you don't need to call it fighting. You know, you don't need to call it fighting, because if you say I'm fighting, then that kind of sounds like, you know, there is somebody who is kind of attacking you, and then you have to attack back, because fighting means that, no? Lots of people have this kind of, use this kind of words, you know, fighting for. There's nothing to fight, you know. You try to make, you know, you try to make things better. Everybody is trying to make things better, you know. But when you're trying to make things better, you know, there is no need of this sensation of fighting, because you just make the causes and conditions to make things better, and then it might become better slowly. Yeah, I think one thing is that's, you know, fighting. If you that concept of fighting, then too much kind of aggression, because when you say fight, it's aggression. So anybody who comes to see you or who comes to meet you, or, you know, anything that you know, it can also become a help for you. Everything or everybody who you meet or who you come across or who you work with or who does not need to be an obstacle for your becoming better. You know, actually we all, you know, even I progress or I make, even say business, you know. How do you make good business? You know, let us not talk about Dharma or, you know, compassion and things like that. Let's talk about business, you know. I have read a book called How to Become Richer Quicker. And there it says, you know, how to become richer quicker. It says, give people more what they want and give people less of what they don't want, and then you become richer quicker. Yeah? So, you know, people are means to make you better, even richer. You know, you just have to give them what they want more, and you have to give them what they don't want less. And then you become a successful businessman. Yeah. But there maybe the intention is a little bit different. You know, the intention is I need to become richer. But if that intention is a little bit changed, and I want to help people, then you become a bodhisattva. You know, you did this almost the same thing, but intention a little bit changed, then you become a bodhisattva. Yeah. And so therefore, these people could be your best help. Yeah. your best clients or best place to exercise your bodhisattva's activities, or whatever. So I don't think you need to see people and you need to be defensive. Yeah? This understanding, maybe if you can change, then you are no longer in asura. You become a bodhisattva. Okay, maybe last one.
Rinpoche, how do you see the transmission and development of Buddha Dharma in the West? And how do you think it will be different than in Asia in the last 2,500 years? And something about the role of the monastic sangha in it and the role of the lay sangha.
I have not a bad view about that. I think in the Asia, Buddhism spread very widely, very widely. And of course, some places it was also again destroyed, especially last century. Buddhism was maybe the worst, the religion which was destroyed and, faced worst challenges. In China, all these communist, Russia, China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Korea, all these areas, Buddhism was a major target and completely, destroyed. And then also it revived a little bit now. But it had to face a very big problem. Yeah. And in the West, it's going, I feel, in this in a good way, in a natural way. And Buddhism never went anywhere with an army or with too much push from a government or strong kind of force. It went very naturally. Some just monks were invited by the local people, and monks just went like this, no wealth, no army, no nothing. And then they just taught a little bit, and then they slowly, some people got interested, and then a little bit more, and then it went in a very, natural way. And it wasn't a big kind of, most of the places where it went, it wasn't a sudden kind of thing that, suddenly, there was a kind of order from the king that everybody should practice Buddhism or you will be punished, or something like that, So, in the West also, it's going like this a little bit, small ways. Slowly, one teacher, two teachers, three teachers, and then, some locals also becoming teachers, and then they are translating little, some translation not so good, some translation little better, and then little better, and things like that. And then sometimes some lamas not good, some lamas a little better, like that. And then it's been like that in Tibet also, and it's going like this. So I feel it's going well. You know, I travel almost everywhere. You know, I travel a lot in Europe, a lot, many countries. I don't know how many. This year, so far, I went to Germany many times. I went to Belgium, Holland, France, Spain, Portugal, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Austria, Switzerland, Ireland, Portugal, England, Slovenia. Now I'll go to Slovakia. Then I go to Israel for the first time. I went to lots of places in Europe, and I also go to America sometimes, Mexico. I also went a few times to other places in South America and Africa and Asia, Russia. I didn't go to Arabic countries because they never invited me. So far. I was surprised to see that there was a Buddhist center in Saudi Arabia. I was a little surprised because there was a Buddhist temple and some Theravadic kind of. I thought it was not possible, but anyway, that's another point. So everywhere I go, there are some people who are very interested, and but even those who are not Buddhist or not even, they are very kind and nice. When they say me, everybody smiles or waves or kind of they greet you, and sometimes they say Dalai Lama, and they want to take photographs together, and they want to. I have felt very positive everywhere I went, including even some, like Indonesia. It's a Muslim country. But everybody comes and says, I want to have photograph with you. Even Muslim ladies, with their thing, they want to take photograph. So I was, so there is not a very bad, negative feeling, so it's, I think, quite good so far. And then some people, in the beginning, it was all like those who were doing meditation and practice were a little bit hippies, a little bit those who are not really mainstream people, like a little bit hippie kind of, and now slowly turning more mainstream people, like professionals, students, and normal people. I think that's a very good sign, well, there's nothing wrong with hippies, but, they're kind of, I'm sure still some hippies are there. But so I think that's a good. I think that's a good sign. It's not that everybody is becoming Buddhist or anything like that, but Buddhist views or Buddhist ideas are going into the society quite, influencing quite a lot. I think the viewpoint of the people. So I think it's the way, Of course, there's a lot more to do, and there's lots of scope, lots of you know, a lot more from the point of the teachers, from the point of the practitioners, from the point of the, you know, studies and everything. There's nothing is perfect, but you know, I think it's going. It's okay. I think natural way. So, thank you very much, and I must express my thanks and my gratefulness to Lama Wangmo, her mother, and Patricia, and everybody, especially our really great translator and assistant translator. I mean, I'm sure lots of people worked very hard to make things the way it is, and I'm also very happy that now you have an established center in the countryside, the right kind of place for meditation with all right conditions of solitude. So, you know, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. And especially lots of people came from outside the country, from Italy, from Serbia, from Croatia, from many other places, Austria, even from Portugal, you know, as far as Portugal, which is at the end of Europe. So I would like to thank everybody, and you know, and I'm sure you would continue to support the Wangmo and everybody to build this center more strongly, and all of you would work together in a good way, in a harmonious way, as you seem to be working. And you know, I like the Sangha here very much because they seem to be very harmoniously working and very, very much friendly together. And you know, I think that is very, very important. So that's all. I have nothing much to say, and hope to see you soon, probably next year. Thank you very, very much.
And we would like to thank you very much for coming here again and again and not giving up on us. And for giving us the precious empowerment of Vajrapati to remove all the countless obstacles in our practice. And the profound teachings on meditation and wisdom, which hopefully we can put into practice to make this world a better place. And not only that, to completely achieve freedom from all this mess that we have created in our minds. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Keep coming.
Yeah. I'm coming without any pressure from you. I'm coming with great pleasure. It's an honor for me to be with you. I like to see my friends, all of you are my friends, and you know, it's my pleasure to come. You know, I don't feel any what can you say? I'm totally free. You know? I'm retired since countless years, and I have nobody, no boss. I have no boss. I have no monks. So I'm totally free, and I can stop coming whenever I want to. I can do it or not do whatever, I have no pressure from anybody. If I'm coming fully because I want to come. Yeah? And as I always say, and this is it's not just what can you say, saying, it's really feeling. I am on holiday. More so when I'm in Slovenia. Yesterday, after we finished here, we went to the lake and had a boating all kind of nice things. And I enjoyed being with you in this country and everywhere. And my travel is not work, it's holiday. So thank you very much.
And I would also like to thank the precious translators and all the hard-working volunteers and all the participants from almost all over the world. Thank you very much. So
Rok, a ty si vyšel? Nie, da bi prevzel doma, moja kameraman. Ja, prav.
Ne, se počakaj.
Šle tukaj se malo makne.
Mojca, a lahko zapreš žaluzije? Lidija, a greš lahko za pol korak, super, super.
A jesam, ne živio sam, nego samo sam povedati sam sad.
Daš pa tišu na konec.
Pero, a bi lahko mečkam snemal, da grem jaz do Rinpočeja?
So Joe, from today on your show.
I forgot I'm already packing. Sorry.